Now, from CBS 4 News, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Good morning, I'm Jim DeFede, and welcome to Facing South Florida. We have a good show for you this morning. Up in a few minutes, we sit down with County Commissioner Bruno Barrero, who is hoping to be the Republican nominee to replace Ileana Ros-Lehtinen in Congress. And speaking of Congress, for the second time in less than a month, we had a brief government shutdown on Friday. Eventually, Democrats and Republicans approved what amounts to a two-year deal on the budget that increases spending for the military as well as domestic spending by more than $300 billion. Democrats and immigration advocates were disappointed there was nothing in the deal to protect dreamers. But progressives may have another reason for concern. The increased spending in the budget will likely reignite Republican calls to revamp Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. About a month ago, I had a chance to talk to Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Max Rickman from the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. We didn't have a chance to air it at the time, but given recent events, it now seems like the perfect opportunity to have that discussion. For context, we filmed this interview in mid-January, right after Congress passed the tax cut. Here you go. Now that Republicans have passed a $1.5 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly benefits corporations and the super wealthy, Republicans are expected to turn their attention to entitlement reform, as they like to call it, looking for savings in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. This promises to be a sizable fight. Joining us now to discuss this is South Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Max Rickman, President of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Congresswoman, let me start with you. Sort of set this up. What makes you believe that we're headed towards entitlement reform?
Well, because the Speaker Paul Ryan has unequivocally said that that is what he's teeing up next. And it was very clear that when they blew a $1.5 trillion hole in our deficit in the tax scam bill, that it was a predicate to saying that, well, we absolutely have to address, as Paul Ryan says, the real driver of our deficit and our debt, the Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
So what worries you most? Is there not room for some reform?
Well, there's certainly room for us to make sure that we can extend the solvency, the life of all three programs. We already did that when we passed the Affordable Care Act, and we added 12 years of solvency to Medicare. There are constructive ways that we can do that. Social Security, we can lift the income cap so that we generate more revenue and add solvency by adding to what income levels actually pay the FICA tax. And there are a variety of pieces of legislation out there. What we don't need to do is privatize Social Security, which the Republicans want to do, turn Medicare into a voucher system, which would increase premiums for seniors by more than $6,000, and that's according to the nonpartisan CBO, Congressional Budget Office. And we don't need to force people on Medicaid to go to work, which the Trump administration proposed just this week.
So, Max, let me bring you into this. What concerns do you have? What is your organization? How do you view this process as you head into this?
Well, you know, it's not only Speaker Ryan that has made it clear that the next shoe to drop will be, they call it reform. That's code for cut. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Your own Senator Rubio is on the record for calling for these reforms. By the way, these are not entitlements, these are earned benefits. It's very important to make that distinction. People pay into Social Security all their lives because they're buying insurance for themselves and their families. It's an earned benefit. That's a very important distinction. But there's no question that, as the Congresswoman said, the tax bill lays the predicate. All of a sudden, all of these members that voted almost down the line for the tax bill, they didn't say anything about the $1.5 trillion deficit that was going to be increased by the tax cut. Now they're going to say, well, we can't afford that. We can't afford.
Well, Max, let me just ask you this. What are the biggest misnomers? What are the biggest fallacies that you hear time and time again being talked about that you would like to clarify here today?
Well, Social Security, first of all, doesn't contribute a penny to the deficit. Social Security has a surplus of $2.6 trillion. Social Security is not bankrupt. We're a national group. We've got 4 million members and supporters around the country. We don't have our heads in the sand. We know Social Security, yes, it's solvent until the year, for the next 20 years almost. At that point, there's a shortfall. We don't want to see that happen. So you need to have, as the Congresswoman said, some reasonable reforms. Cutting benefits.
Does that include extending maybe the age at which you become eligible for Social Security?
Absolutely not. That's already been done. The age is going up, will be 67 for everybody. Raising the age for benefits is a cut in benefits. That's what people should hear it as. It's a cut in benefits. You know, the fact that people are living longer doesn't mean they can work longer, doesn't mean there are jobs for them to have beyond 67. You know, I said facetiously at a town hall meeting, you could raise the age to 100, you wouldn't have a problem, but it doesn't make sense to keep cutting benefits. You can bring more revenue into the program by lifting the cap, adjusting the cap on the amount of wages subject to the payroll tax. It's about $127,000. After that, no more payroll tax. Why?
Let me bring back Congresswoman. Can you not take some solace? Didn't Donald Trump campaign on the promise of not cutting Social Security and Medicare, so aren't we fine?
Donald Trump has lied, documented lies 2,000 times just in the first year of his presidency. So nothing he says can be trusted. He says whatever he thinks people want to hear. He listens to the last person that he spoke to, and he cannot be trusted. So what we need to do is make sure that we focus on electing people who are going to make the commitment, as I have, to preserve Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid as the safety nets that they need to be.
Politically, are you surprised they're raising this in an election year? Isn't this, normally they do this in the off-election year, not in the election year, right?
This is if we are looking into the true heart of, such as it is, of the Republican Party, giving tax breaks to their wealthy contributors, to giant corporations and the 1%, and decimating the safety net that is our retirement security programs in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. They have consistently campaigned that they want to do that. They've never believed that we need a retirement safety net for our seniors in their elderly years. And now that they control all the levers of power, they're going to do everything they can to do that.
Can I say something about Donald Trump's promises? I watched all those. I think I watched all the Republican primary debates. I think there were 17 candidates. I think I watched them all pretty religiously. It was torture, but I watched them. He promised not to cut Social Security, not to cut Medicare, not to cut Medicaid. He has supported the budget resolutions that passed the House and the Senate. What do? They cut Medicare by $500 billion. They cut Medicaid by $1 trillion. And they set up, we call it a fast-track process that can cut Social Security without going through the procedural steps that are normally required. So I'm not counting on those promises.
When we come back, congressional candidate Bruno Barrero.